Yo guys, Haku here with my review of the Noblesse Awakening anime OVA 1. It's the first OVA. I don't know if they're going to be making any more like Noblesse Awakening or Noblesse with a different subtitle, and if they're going to be continuing this like this. But I'm going to review it as usual, just give you like what I knew about it going into it, and then what I thought of the characters, and then what I thought of the overall anime, whatever. So, yeah, Wednesday might start being an OVA or movie review day for anime. Maybe, if I can. But I really wanted to watch this. And going into it, I don't know how many of you are going to like this, but I went into it without reading Noblesse because I thought that maybe it would make me want to read, because I tried to read it once before and everybody always talks about how great it is, but I didn't really like it when I read it. So I didn't get into it. And in general, I'm just really excited and happy to see a popular manhwa get animated, because I feel like it sets a good precedent, especially being animated by such a big and mainstream studio, that it sets a precedent where we could have more animated popular manhwa, like an animated Girls of the Wilds, or of course even Tower of God. Now, my thoughts on a Tower of God anime, because I cover Tower of God on the channel, so I'm just going to throw it out real quick. I think that the story itself is more suited for a long-running anime, sort of like Naruto or One Piece or Fairy Tail, one of those, but the quality and artwork is probably not going to be that great if it gets a long-running anime, so it might be best to be split up into like 12 to 24 episode seasons. But I don't want Tower of God OVAs, and I don't know how many people will agree with this, but I just think the story, the pacing of it does not suit an OVA at all, and I don't really think it would work out that well for Tower of God to get an OVA. Back to Noblesse, the basic plot that I knew going into this from summary or whatever is that Guy wakes up from 820 years sleep, and it's strongly implied before even getting into it, you notice that there's a lot of vampire implication, and he pretty much makes friends with some human kids and protects them with the help of his servant Frankenstein. So now to break down what I thought of the characters, and the only real big con with the series, there were lots of pros, but the only con that I really got kind of plays into the characters, and that was character design. I thought that a lot of the characters looked really just Bishonen Yaoi-esque, and I feel like that's generally a big turnoff for most guys looking at a series, so that could probably explain a lot of why I just wasn't interested at first. It's just the character design doesn't really catch your eye that much. First with Rizel, he was a little bit of a bland character, but he was funny so far, even though like it's part of his character that he hasn't spoken much yet. He's still getting used to everything around him, and it's an OVA. You can't go deep and delve into a character in an OVA. It's more about the events and the happenings, and it's a lot more suited for someone who's read, I would assume, because of the nature of what it is. But even so, I really enjoyed the character, I really enjoyed the thing overall, and I'll get more into it. But next up, the character I want to talk about is Frankenstein. So Frankenstein, I thought, again, he was a little bit of a dull character. He had sort of a generic, just the generic, quiet glasses man personality. Glasses man was a really bad way to describe it. But you know the general anime archetype where it's just a more adult guy wears glasses and he's just serious and not very much into the fun. That was pretty much Frankenstein's character in this OVA. So then into the three kids, and I don't know how good their subtitles were, but from the subtitles, they were Shinwoo, Yuna? Yeah, I think that was her name, and Ikon. And they were alright. I didn't mind them. I mean, they didn't play a massive role, except for Shinwoo. I really liked him. I thought he was a good character. And again, talking about characters in this, it's an OVA. They didn't have time to delve deep into any characters' development. Then M21 was probably my favorite. I really thought he had a cool design. He had a pretty cool personality, and the little backstory that we got for them, him and M24, was both awesome. M24 also a character I really enjoyed and I really thought was cool. And then Jake. Jake was a very good antagonist for this. His design was amazing. I really liked his design and his voice acting. His voice acting was great. I thought all of the voice acting was great, but Jake's in particular was really very solid. Last is Mari. And she was, even compared to the others and even in OVA, she was pretty undeveloped. She really didn't. We didn't get to know much about her or anything about her really. But she looked cool in the fight. She looked really cool. But not very developed. And again, it's an OVA, so I'm very, very forgiving because for the 30 minutes that they had to pack all of this into, it was great. And ordinarily, I'm assuming that there was a lot more to this in the manhwa, and I'm assuming that they could have maybe gotten like a 12-episode anime out of this, or at least half of a 12-episode anime out of this storyline alone. So the fact that they fit it into 30 minutes this well was laudable in itself. So when it came to the music choices, I thought the music choices were interesting. They were good. And I was just very interested in the way they chose the styles of music that they did, and the animation and voice acting was something that I cannot even say how much I loved it, because the voice acting was very, very well done. They got great people to do this, and they really put the emotion into the characters for it to just be 30 minutes, and the animation was brilliant. Of course it was movie quality. It was just an OVA. It was very high quality, and the effects for blood and like fighting when stuff was like crumbling or getting destroyed, the effects were really nice. I honestly think that Production IG did just mind-blowing work with the animations. And for those of you, I don't think I've said it yet, like if you don't know what Production IG has done in the past, because I said they were sort of bigger and mainstream, I do remember saying that, is they've done Guilty Crown, Psycho Pass, Ghost in the Shell, so they've done a lot of big titles, and it was nice to see that they were the ones that took up Noblesse, and they put out something very, very high quality. I thought that there were some funny moments as well that really translated well into a broader audience, and translated well from, I'm assuming they were in the manhwa, so translated well from manhwa to anime. And a couple of those were like Rai's card that said I'm lost, or when Rai was not MLG 420 Pro at video games. Like, those things were funny, and I think they carried over well, because sometimes in anime, you know, jokes fall short if you're not like Japanese, or if you're not from the original sort of culture, the joke kind of falls a bit flat, but I think that the comedy really carried over well in this OVA. Also, another part I remember liking a ton was M24's epic punch to Jake, and his little his Chaozu moment where he Chaozu'd him, just grabs him and explodes. That was very interesting, and I thought it was funny, because I mean, it wasn't meant to be funny. I thought it was awesome, and it was awesome, but I also laughed because I'm like, oh, he Chaozu'd him. And I really felt that the anime itself, with the dark themes, not just with the dark themes, but overall, it had a very, very Tokyo Ghoul feel to me, and I really enjoyed. I don't know if I would say I enjoyed it more than Tokyo Ghoul, but it was very enjoyable, and it had sort of a similar feel to it that I liked. It felt very unique, and I wasn't expecting it to be as unique as it was. Now, getting into the fights, at the end, the fights were so great. All of the effects, all of the animation was just beyond great. It was insane. The animation was... Again, I feel like when I say things like this, I might garner some hate, but I thought it was at least One Punch Man level animation. At least. It was really, really high quality. It was just wonderful animation, and I don't want to keep saying that, but I guess I have to make my point somehow. The voice acting in the fights as well, the emotion they put into it, great. And for Rizal and his power, I wasn't expecting it to be as cool as it was, because I'm like, okay, that might be kind of a boring power to see, like just animated and see in action. But it was really cool. I really loved Rizal and Jake's little fight. It was really, if you could even call it a fight, but it was really cool looking, and especially Frankenstein's fight was beautifully animated. It looked so great. The only potential issue I could have with any of the fights were that occasionally there were a couple of sound effects that were a bit meh, but overall it didn't hold it back any, and it still maintained its high quality level. So overall for this anime, gotta say the music was an interesting choice, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It was good. The animation was amazing. The voice acting was brilliant. The story itself was well done. I feel like they did a lot with their 30 minutes. They got a lot done with their 30 minutes that didn't feel wasted, and it felt like they got enough development. It wasn't too rushed, even though there's a certain amount of rushing you have to do to get it fit in there. It wasn't distracting from the story. So overall it was brilliant, and I've got to say that I think it makes me want to reconsider reading the manhwa when I get time. I might not cover it on the channel, but I might read it in my free time. And yeah, so I thought it was great, and I'll give it 10 Bishonen vampires with a question mark out of 10. So guys, drop a like if you liked the video, comment, tell me what you thought of my thoughts and what you thought of the series, subscribe for more anime reviews, more One Piece, Tower of God, and The Walking Dead, and much more. And I thank you all so very much for watching. Follow on Twitter for updates on what's going on with the channel, and I will see you guys next time.